Hello, friends. Host Eric here, host of Talking with Fence People. And I just want to say, fight on, USC. Did a wonderful job today. I'm very proud of you for your good efforts beating UCLA in the last second. My family has long been big USC fans, and I've been able to enjoy watching sports with Rachel, which is really nice. Rachel and I are kind of very similar in our sports fanery, I think.
Yeah, we are.
Which is we like fun things that are sports related, and if something depressing happens, like your team loses, we just sort of put the blinders on. We're not going to pay attention to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think also sports provides us an important break and differentiation between what we're normally spending our time doing and thinking about and talking about. It's kind of like SE in its object form, we get to observe it and enjoy without having to do it.
Yeah. And we also get time in with your dad too, which is always good.
Right. I enjoy the opportunity to spend time with my dad doing something we both like.
Yeah.
Is this chat not working again? Can somebody put something? There we go. You're quite possibly the most entertaining in the YouTube universe right now. Well, thanks, Raymond Muniz.
Yeah, thank you.
Very kind of you to say.
That is.
I do try to be somewhat entertaining. I would say that this community and this live stream and stuff, it varies a lot, into what it turns into or what it turns out to be. I enjoy having very pleasant conversations with people, but I don't necessarily around here. It depends on the day, I had a very nice conversation earlier with some people in the Discord server about various things, but it was pleasantly non-adversarial. A lot of times around here, shit gets pretty adversarial, Well, yeah. So, anyway, we just watched the UCLA game. It was a crazy game. SC was down by 18 points in the start of the third quarter, or near the beginning of the third quarter. And we came back and won the game. Of course, we had the lead and the ball with like 3 minutes left, but we got too conservative with our offense. And we went 3 and out. We had to punt the ball, and then they came down, scored a field goal, and got the lead. And then there was only 56 seconds left, and SC had no timeouts. They kicked off to us, and we got this big-ass kickoff return. We're down by 1 point. And then the quarterback, Kevin Slovis, throws this ridiculous pass on the sidelines to our receiver, whose name Ramen or something like Amen Ra or something, some sort of Egyptian name, St. John. It's a strange name.
Yeah, Amen Ra St. John.
Amen Ra St. John.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes up and makes an incredible catch, and then we're down there in easy field goal range, down like at the 5-yard line at this point, and I'm saying, okay, team, be smart. Just keep it on the ground and kick the field goal and win by 2 points. But instead, that's what everybody's thinking. And so, UCLA's piled up for the run, and we throw the ball and touchdown.
It was a beautiful thing.
It was beautiful. It was crazy.
It really was.
And there's 16 seconds left, and we had to sweat out 3 plays by UCLA, which they ended on a Hail Mary that we knocked down in the end zone.
Oh, my gosh.
Whew.
It was a nail biter.
It was a real nail biter.
Yeah.
I
did not, after that, being so far back in the third quarter, I was like, I'm not really sure if they're going to be able to come back.
All right. Well, we came out here and live streamed when they were down by a bunch because it's depressing when your team's losing, But
yes.
I checked on the score and we were starting to come back. So chronic traumatic encephalopathy Is that like head injury stuff? I mean, it's bad. What could one's opinion on it be? What are the possible opinions? Does anybody say, "Oh no, I am in favor of head injuries"? I don't think so. Do I think that, for example, would I let my kid play football? Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Okay, we could both say no to that then.
I mean, it's a hypothetical, it's like,
I would have them learn to tackle like the way that they do now.
right. I think that the way they play football now is a lot safer than the way they used to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I had a son, hypothetically, that wanted to play football, I would probably end up being pretty happy about that reality.
Oh, that's nice.
But I would worry because I do believe that, head injuries are dangerous. And, when I talk, Johnny says, like back when he played football, my next door neighbor, that they were really casual about the head injuries and stuff. And in fact, they'd have drills where they just sort of run into each other's heads and stuff. And it's good that they've adjusted. I think that some of the rule changes in the football in general are good rule changes. The way that kickoffs, basically nobody gets to do kickoff returns anymore, it's like, okay, but I get that those are dangerous plays, so I get that they want to kind of minimize those. Because kickoffs are the most dangerous plays in football, and kickoff returns. So most people get they're the play that has the highest amount of injuries on them. So they try to minimize kickoffs and kickoff returns, and that I feel kind of ambivalent about because I like kickoff and kickoff returns. But as far as like the targeting and those kind of things, I'm totally in favor of.
Yeah, me too.
They need to play in a way that's sustainable so that we don't have to lose football because people are getting so messed up by it.
Right. Exactly.
You were all conference, pretty sure it affects your memory and light sensitivity. I don't doubt it would. You're old enough that you probably did football the old way where they didn't really protect people's heads or prioritize that.
Yeah, they really didn't start till like 10 years ago. Really?
Yeah. Number 3 is the key toward understanding.
Delilah is a number 3 life path.
Number 3 is the key to understanding the answer to 1 + 2.
Oh my gosh, you're such a good teacher.
Jose, will the vaccine save us? I have no predictions about the vaccine. I can tell you what I don't feel comfortable taking it yet. But I might be convinced to be comfortable taking it eventually.
Thank you, Oliver Linehand, for reminding us it's also the key to understanding the square root of 9. The square
Your FI got a pinch? I'm sorry to hear that. What pinched your FI, Winston's mom?
Yeah, really? What slot is it in for INTJs?
3rd.
Oh.
Grassy, your antagonism to Rachel is counterproductive to your ends. Thank you, Winston's mom. What pinched your FI? Hi, Zandy.
Yeah.
Pleasure to know you.
Hi, Zandy. Thanks, Winston's mom. Yeah, what pinched your FI? We care.
Well, what about praying 3 times a day? PREY.
What about You plus me and the devil makes 3.
So, I've got something to tell you as well. I've got some wisdom to share with you. If you walk straight, but turn left before turning right, and consistently do that, you will experience amazing results in your life. New doors are going to open for you. Amazing new pathways are going to open up. You're going to be amazed. Have I mentioned that? The feeling that you're going to experience is amazement. Did I mention that? Oh, yeah, I didn't like that either. I think I commented on it, in fact, at the time, didn't I? I've got some other pieces of advice for you. Take a carrot, a small, thin carrot, and hold it between your upper lip and nose as you go about the world. Just do that 3 times a day, and you are going to experience a magical awakening you have never, ever imagined in your entire life. And you've been imagining magical awakenings your entire life, so this is a pretty magical awakening. Pretty magical, yeah.
My FI is slow to realize that she has been pinched.
FI always is late to the party. Sorry to interrupt you.
This confused me for a long time. It was Cloud's comment today that pinched me. He told me I was creepy calling. ... One of my boys. A reference to the book Little Women. I brushed it off, but it bothered me when I awoke. Silly, but this happens to me. I invited Cloud into my village and he STP'd me in a way only they do.
I mean, you say think in terms of 3. So what would you presume then I'm currently thinking in terms of? I mean, certainly it is the case that the 3s provide a sound mechanical structure for given things. For example, I've often said the strongest debate case is what I call the 3-legged stool style of debate case. And what it does is it has 2 legs that support each of the other legs, so that if you knock out one of them, it doesn't matter because it's reinforced by the other legs. But it's important not to mistake your noticing of patterns for a universal rule. So there are other things that don't work well as 3s. For example, truth value is an element of 3. You have true, not true. You have true, false, and no truth value. Okay, but validity is a matter of 2, and it's a matter of binaries. So it's important to not misunderstand your own intuition as something other than that. And I think that's what you consistently do. You think your own intuition is sufficient, but it's not. Your intuition's not it's not disciplined. And good intuition requires a certain amount of discipline. You have a very sloppy and undisciplined intuition. And the reason is because you allow yourself to say ridiculous things like this. That you are right, you just don't have the words to be right yet. Of course, you can't be right except by stating words that make sense and withstand scrutiny. So to think that you are right without knowing what the words are as to why is insanity. It's like saying, well, I know the best reason for supporting this legislation. I just can't explain what it is. Well, then you don't know what it is. No. Oh. Please, you need to stop with this, okay? In fact, I'm timing you out for this shit. We've explained this before, okay? We've explained this before, and you're ignoring what I've said before. So you get timed out for that. I've explained before that no, this is not an FE thing. I'm asking for your warrants. That's a TI thing. I've explained this before, and you've backtracked now. You've regressed. So that's not acceptable. You're not going to waste my time. You have to learn from what we've talked about before.
Yeah, you're not immune to getting timed out just because
it's like
you haven't been before.
Saying that it's an FE thing is bullshit, right? It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
I'm asking you I'm saying, well, what's the reason why your universal rule here about growth and threes and stuff is? And you say, well, I don't have the words for it. It's not an FE thing. It's a TI thing.
Yeah.
If you're claiming a claim you want to substantiate as true, you need to substantiate it on TI grounds.
Exactly.
Because otherwise your words are just arbitrary meaninglessness.
Yes.
So, meow. Is all I have to say about that. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Raymond Muniz. And Legends Fall Comics, nice has a talent. It's not a good talent, but it's something.
What?
Legends, I just read Legends Fall Comic out loud.
Oh, I like it too.
I didn't block him. No. I put him on timeout.
Yeah.
Okay? I did put him on timeout. And I'm going to put him on timeout because he's very antagonistic. Listen. He's very antagonistic, right? So it's like he comes in, he's very adversarial all the time. Mm-hmm. And he's making bold claims that are not justified by anything. And then when I try to engage with him about it, he wants to play, well, I know it's true. I just can't articulate the reasons why. Well, then you don't know it's true.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what knowing it's true means. It means to be able to articulate the reasons why. When you can't articulate the reasons why, it's a TI failure. Not an FE failure. I don't care how much you polish your turd. As long as you explain it to me, I'll buy it. Yes, I am a debate coach. So that's why I don't take bullshit. The thing is, if I had not already addressed that in full, then I would not have timed him out. But it annoys me when somebody ignores what I've already said as an argument in response to something, pretends it wasn't said, and goes back to that thing again. I'm like, well, we've already covered this, and we've already assessed it and determined to anybody's satisfaction, this is not an FE thing, right? I want good warrants. I don't care if you say please and thank you in the process. So if he's going to insist that the reason he can't explain it is because of his FE problems, then he's ignoring what I've said before and intentionally being stubborn. And that's not okay. Remember, one good reason for me to time somebody out is because they pissed me off. I don't need any better reason than that. Yeah, we only take 3 deep breaths.
Thanks.
I mean,
Aisha.
The thing is, let's talk about romantic relationships, long-term relationships, spouse or mate or whatever. 1, 2. Would it be a good idea to add a third person to this mix? No. That's a terrible idea. It's the worst idea in history. Mm-hmm. I can think of 3 reasons why it's the worst idea in history.
Oh.
So,
Asia like geisha. Gotcha.
Of course, the other thing is to remember that when somebody says to you, you should think in 3s, blah, 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 then one must ask them, oh, what is it you're imagining I think in now? Why are you presuming to know so much about my thought process? Why Why does one have to think in terms of numbers anyway? How is that beneficial to whatever? Referring to general systems theory, well, it's about states of equilibrium and periods of state change. So different kinds of systems, depending on how many variables they have and what kind of involvements they have, will reach certain stages of equilibrium that adhere to something called the Tracy-Whittem curve, which is somewhat different than, say, a bell curve. But the thing is, one of the things that systems theory is concerned with is matters of how to model systems. But another thing that it's concerned with is how to model periods of state change. So what it shows is if you take a natural system like a lake and there's this experiment they did in Canada where they have these experiment lakes, and what they do is they change the species within the lake, like they add a bunch of these kind of fish and see what happens, right? And then they watch the demographic numbers of these various species, and what they see is, so you've got these species distributed according to this Tracy-Whittem curve prior to the introduction of the new species. With the introduction of the new species, you see these things going up and down, vacillating wildly. So you introduce a bunch of the new species. First, this species goes way down, then the species shoots way up, then it goes way down, and you see a bunch of this until finally it reaches a new equilibrium up here where it reverts this Tracy-Whittem curve. So that's one expression of how, like, systems theory, what the kind of thing that systems theory deals with, which is what comprises an equilibrium state, how does something splay demographically in an equilibrium state, and meow. Who me? I'm ENFP, and Tracy W was thick with 2 CCS, very curvy. What? I don't even have any idea what that sentence means. Is who ENFP? Your mom's face? I don't know. Monica Sampangi. You tell me, is your mom's face ENFP?
I'd like to know too.
I'm just talking with you, Eric, and given my medium, it's hard to say really anything without it being totally confusing. Okay, well, look. The thing is, you say that now after you've come in and made some bold claim, which gets challenged immediately, to which you say, I can provide no warrants for it. And then you say, now look, Eric, I'm just talking with you. No, you're not just talking with me. You're making bold claims that are not any good warrants. Mm-hmm. That's not a warrant to believe it's correct. You're saying, here's a way you can use it, right? But the thing is, I'm asking you, why is it correct? That's a different question than is it useful, or how can I use it, or how will it benefit me? I want to know, is it correct and why? Those questions are more important than the questions you're asking. How one can use something, one can use a wrong system for lots of things. You know, one can be convinced by C.S. Joseph that one is an ENTP and go about feeling like an ENTP and end up getting more and more and more resentful because the world doesn't seem to treat one like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know. You did offer why. I'm saying is that's not a reason why it's correct. It's a reason why it could be useful to somebody. Those are different things, right? So it's like when I'm asking you, why is this correct? And you tell me, well, it can be used for this. That's not answering my question. Correctness has nothing to do with utility. They're different things. It's like I can acknowledge that utility has value and not default to it all the time. Same with the correctness thing. I'm not saying correctness is all that matters, but I'm saying you seem to think utility is all that matters. Excellent title for a Saturday night live stream. Anyone looking for a conversation will find you. Oh, cool. What was the title again? Something like come stream your troubles away or something?
Yeah.
But so it's correct in that it does what it does. Well, then you don't mean the word correct to mean anything. I mean, just because a hammer hammers nails doesn't mean it's correct, right? Correctness and teleological consistency are different things. Don't make me use philosophy words again.
Ooh.
Don't make me use philosophy words. I will. I get it. I know. Use your ignore game. Okay, you mad, bro. You got a good point there. I don't want to be captivated by something that's just going to annoy me. You know. It's a good point. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions about grapefruit juice? Any questions about...
Ooh, I'm going to have some, actually.
There's none left. It's empty. Any questions about what is the meaning of life? I think the meaning of life is to... Well, I mean, I think the meaning of life is to narrow the gap between the map and the territory. So that one is truly comfortable with oneself and one's world, which is to say, you know who you are, your mapping of yourself is accurate, you know how the world is, your mapping of reasonable expectations given who you are is relatively accurate, and you're in a state that's in a place that situation that's conducive to your personality type being happy. Not just your personality type, I guess, but your being.
Vegan Schmegan asks, words' meanings are as relative as the value we set on money, no?
Well, the value we set on money is, what do you mean by it's a relative? Relative to what, do you think? Because, I mean, arbitrary and relative are different things. The reality is wealth itself is a metaphysical object before it's a physical object. In other words, the quality of beholdens is unique to agents who can understand the concept of ownership and fairness, and naturally emerges therefrom. So the question about word meanings being as relative as the value of money, well, yes, sort of, vegan schmegan. So it's like, to be more precise, there's two frames of reference that I talk about being the primary frames of reference by which people debate stuff. And those frames of reference are absolute relativism and relative absolutism. So what do I mean by those things? Well, let's see. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so absolute relativism is TE, basically, and relative absolutism is TI. So, in other words, word meanings are relative to whatever you want to say they're relative to, but word meanings can change between conversations. But once you agree to assign a meaning to them, then they're static, and we operate as though they were true regardless of anything else. So let me put a link here for you to look at, and I will read a little bit from this. So, relative absolutism. Under this frame, words are absolute in their expression, but relative in their meaning. So whenever someone says something, those words have precise meanings in that context. they are unchanging meanings, just as the weight of a 1 pound brick is unchanging. However, in another context, one might define the word differently and thus offer that this time the brick is 2 pounds. Once agreed upon, that's what it is for the duration of that exchange. The reality of the brick is just a status that's absolute within that frame reality, which itself is a brick to be defined for the purposes of making arguments about the relationship between bricks and reality. In contrast, absolute relativism, the meaning of something is absolute to the particular parties and is distinct from the definitional constraints of relative absolutism. Thus, people often say things like, well, I know I said it that way, but I mean something else. Or, you don't get what I mean, I'm just not expressing it well. This presumes that there is a meaning outside of the precise definition of the word. RA, relative absolutism, says if you mean anything at all, you present that meaning in static words so that others can glean information you convey, scrutinize it, and attempt to determine statuses against other such words. Absolute relativism says no. Words are how I attempt to express meaning that authentically exists beyond words. It doesn't matter how relatively absolute your conclusion is because it's not absolutely relative to me or other people, presumably. So in other words, not useful, right? So this is an exact critique of what OOO's approach is. It's a very precise critique of it. So, for example, it says right here, the arguments we make today in competition debate produce tomorrow's common argumentational usage. There's a genuine trickle-down effect in the marketplace of ideas when ideas are genuinely good. The best arguments have multiple qualities. They are concise. They appeal to a universal and unquestioned truth. They analogize soundly. They're logically valid. They resonate with people's authentic attachments. They display concern for the common welfare, and they legitimize against a concrete measurable effectiveness. Debate historically has overweighted some of these virtues and underweighted others. Or I guess you could say over and under is not the right words to use there, but a proper judging of a round, in fact, ignores some aspects of arguments entirely while affording others great significance. Logical validity is a necessary but insufficient burden. Typically, while measurable effectiveness is often determinate in convincing the judge to vote for you. Lay judges will often vote with their authentic attachments, so most debaters explicitly display concern for common welfare, at least in lay cases. The more lay the judge, the more necessary to rely on empirics, because the absolute relativism of their judging metric implies a frame of empirics is preferred reflexively. Actual harms in the real world are weighted more heavily than are threats to principle or to the integrity of a system's grammar. So it is with lay judges that appeals to conditionality-based decisions. That's not standing, which means this is unwarranted, so it fails too, are less likely to attain the correct result than are appeals to emotion likely to attain the wrong result. The resonance of an argument with an individual operating under an absolutely relative frame is to the actual experience of individuals, not to its legitimacy against other static word objects. So, I mean, this is why it's frustrating for me to encounter this again and again in people who presume I am not way ahead of them on this thing, right? So I'm so far ahead of OO on this whole point. In fact, before OO came in here and demonstrated it, I had long ago written this thing and described exactly what happens, what the problem is. When people come in who have an absolute, absolutely relative framework, as does OO, then they keep appealing to the same frame of reference. They don't legitimize other frames of reference. They don't consider logical validity a necessary but insufficient condition to making any arguments, which they should. And that's a problem, So it means they're not thinking correctly about this stuff. So to clarify why it's a problem, the debate community, which includes all of us, has within it to affirm the good as defined through the implicit value of adversarial rhetoric, namely our best practices, subjecting of claims made to scrutiny and motivated attack, such that bad ideas don't get affirmed into actual policy. That's why AF has the burden. This is why we default to neg if AF fails to meet that burden. Human understanding grows cross-generationally, and this evolution reflects in our argumentation. Identity politics comprise the authentic rejection of an unjust status quo in the absence of widespread incorporation of a better way to attack that injustice. We see those argumentation blocks break apart now as the implications of their inconsistencies make them lose ever more rounds over time. The real source of the injustice always gets away scot-free when the good guys chase down the wrong suspect. In this instance, as in every instance, injustice manifests because the ends have been used to justify the means. Thus, our future and duty is the annihilation of utilitarianism from serious conversation about public policy, or about anything else, frankly, that relates to normative claims. We fulfill this duty along two lines of legitimization. Foremost, the ethical discussion always ends with the utilitarian side grasping to behave as a real normative framework. It can only give us the moral status of an act in hindsight. It might prescribe action according to a best estimate of outcome, but that's the second problem. Those kind of predictions are absolutely relative. My prediction is legitimate only on my hopes and guesses unless I appeal to empirics. And that's where the evil creeps in. Producing this or that change in the law will save lives neglects to presume that vastly more vectors come into play than can be causally reduced in that fashion. It further avoids that those vectors produce outcomes measured in many different units, important to different people in different ways. To measure only those impacts you want is to render empirics meaningless in drawing conclusions about a thing. And note, I wrote this before COVID. How is that for like articulating? And I was saying, look, this is why we need to do this. We need to argue better. We need to argue more correctly, because I don't want to see society be subject to this wickedness. And what do we see? We see exactly that happen with the COVID shit, right? It's exactly what I just said. It's like people appeal. It's this. I can't believe I totally wrote this. I don't know, a couple of years ago at least. So, it's look at this last paragraph on page 7. It says, those kind of predictions are absolutely relative. My prediction is legitimate only on my hopes and guesses unless I appeal to empirics. And that's where the evil creeps in. Predicting that this or that change in law will save lives, quote unquote, neglects to presume that vastly more vectors come into play than can be causally reduced in that fashion. It further avoids that those vectors produce outcomes measured in many different units, important to different people in different ways. To measure only those impacts you want to measure is to render empirics meaningless in drawing any conclusions about a thing. And that's the problem with TE appeals, right? So what's the alternative? The traditional impact calculus is that commonly employed in policy debate, probability, magnitude, and time frame. This calculus continues to be used in many rounds today. The appeal of it is that it affords the competitor a tighter frame in which to put together a case, and it gives the judge a common unit of measurement upon which to decide the round. The primacy of this calculus in debate for a long time reflected an implicit frame which suggests that looking ahead by extrapolations is a good way to make decisions about what action should be taken now. This still resonates as true for many people, because for individuals acting as individuals in pursuit of their own interests, it is true. So, it's important to do things right, God damn it. Let's see. Is Rachel an ENFP? No, she's not. She's an INFJ. And she's pretty clearly an INFJ. It's like it's an area where people like to attack when they like to attack me. But it's not really there's not really much more vulnerability there than there is with me. It's kind of hard to argue that she's not an INFJ given everything, No, but you're not sharing. Oh. If you were not sharing, you wouldn't make the claim in the first place. That would be not sharing. Making the claim and then failing to substantiate it does not qualify as not sharing. That just qualifies as irritant /failure in a box presented on my doorstep to me. And you call what you believe I am doing wicked? What did I say was wicked? Well, I mean, TE justifications are. Utilitarianism is. Yeah, I do think so. You shouldn't justify the ends with the means. I mean, the means with the ends. And that's an old axiom that people have sort of abandoned for some reason.
Thank you for setting her straight on my type.
Yeah, sure. Stephanie points out you would know her more if she's your girlfriend. The thing is, it's the kind of thing that people think she might be besides INFJ. First of all, note that when I first started going out with her, I had typed her as ENFJ and thought she was ENFJ. And after I spent about a month with her, I realized, I'd been conclusive enough at that point that I said to myself, okay, I do know for sure that she's an INFJ, and I'm not going to buy. There's no chance of me revisiting the issue, so I'll go ahead and tell her that I got her type wrong. Here's the thing: in my life, I have had an ESFJ wife, I've had an ISFJ girlfriend. The most recent thing is people go to attack me with, because people are constantly trying to find ways to attack me. And one of the most popular ways to do is to challenge my type and or Rachel's type. How do you get to impose the means cannot justify the ends? No, I'm saying the ends don't justify the means. You say people should believe you got their type correct on absolutely relative grounds. I mean, when did I say that? I'm saying that the absolutely relative frame does the best. That I'm not going to bother talking to you anymore. You're just annoying me. Well, of course, yeah, it should be TI sound. I agree. And it's as TI sound as I can make it. Okay, I know you claim otherwise, but of course I want my arguments to be defensible. I've never argued that I didn't want them to be defensible. Okay, well, so at this point, you're just making more, I guess what you call unacceptable claims, right? There's no justification for those claims. So I'm not going to allow you to continue to make them without putting you on timeout. If you want to be pleasant and agreeable, fine. We've already established, it's like I'm perfectly willing to defend what my position is on things, right? But unfortunately, you're not willing to defend what your position is on things. We've established this, and I'm going to continue timing you out every time you say something annoying to me, okay? For the rest of this evening, because I'm done talking to you. You're wasting my time. And that is truly an offensive thing to do. Waste my time? You have no business wasting my time, sir. Your time is worth so little compared to mine. You have absolutely no business wasting my time. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're wasting my time and you're irritating me. You're not saying anything meaningful, because every time I try to deconstruct what it is you mean, you say you can't explain it for FE reasons or TI reasons. Then don't make the claim in the first place, shithead. I mean, come on. Is there anything besides poo inside of your cranium? Think. Think a little bit before you speak. Before you say, oh, well, I can't tell you for FE reasons. Then why did you make the claim in the first place, shit for brains? Don't be so annoyingly stupid. If you're going to be dumb, fine. But be dumb by saying things like, I like apples. I don't know. Don't be dumb in ways that annoy me so much. The apples are nice. No, apples are nice. I agree. I like apples too. I like Honeycrisp apples. I'm not really a huge fan of apples unless they're particularly sweet and juicy. Same rule applies for women. That's why I got Rachel here. Because she's the sweetest and juiciest apple on the apple tree.
Thanks, Faye. I've never felt more special.
You're welcome, darling. Raymond Munez says he's a Fuji apple person. You know what I am? I'm a Fuji Mountain person.
My mom's a Fuji Mountain.
I'm a big believer in Mount Fuji. I want Mount Fuji in the backdrop of most of my photographs, ideally, would be nice. You meant to send the happy face, not the sad face? No, you can't take back your emotion, Stephanie. No emotion take backs. Your emotion is sad now for the rest of the evening.
There was like TI Polar going on in the typology chat, and I kept on asking. I was like, to this dude, it's just very frustrating.
It is frustrating. How did we meet? Well, Rachel hired me to type her. But before that, I knew who she was because she was one of the people for quite some time who commented on my music, and I didn't get a lot of comments on my music, and I always appreciated them. They always got my music always has gotten a lot fewer humanity maz, so it was nice to receive those. And then when I talked to her and she had me type her, she revealed to me during that typing session that she was older than she looked, that she was 34, knowing at the time that I was single and looking for a woman, but had already expressed I didn't want to go out with anybody younger than 30 because it would be too FE challenging, So Rachel was, pretty much perfect in that sort of way. Like, she was 34, never married, no kids, and looked like even younger than she is. And at first I was thinking like, all right, who's there? Big pimpin'. You're gonna bang the chick or whatever. But of course, it just isn't who I am. And before she got out here, I'd already like fallen in love with her. It was pretty. It was limerence, as they say.
Yeah, for both of us.
I was like head over heels.
Oh my gosh, I was too. I had like hard eyes in the airport, like like. My aura was pink that day, and I was running through the airport on a cloud of pink.
Zennial says, Jesus, get a room. We have one.
We do. We actually are in one.
I mean, the thing is, I have valued in FI sort of, but the thing is, it was an odd experience. I don't remember ever having felt that before, this weird obsession with this other person. And the thing is, if you look up limerence, you'll see that it says I didn't say you were wicked. I said utilitarianism is wicked. If you're using it to justify moral things that you did earlier, that's wicked. You're back on timeout. I'm not interested in not being hypocritical or not being contradictory with myself or anything. I'm interested in you being pleasant. This is an FI thing. If you're not going to be pleasant, you're going to keep getting timed out. And as I've said, you've not addressed any of my points yet. So you've not said like, okay, Eric, you're completely right about everything you've said so far. And I shouldn't make totally unwarranted claims, and that's pretty fucked up, and yada, yada, yada. So, no, you don't get to move on to the next topic, okay? You have not explained anything to even remotely close to justify all the various claims you're making. So, no. Sorry. You have to actually win those arguments before you get to claim to have won them. ENTP, what's FI? FI is who's complaining about that? Cloud? Jesus Christ. I think is Juniper
I'm telling
hats.
you, Discord is like, they need some like actual like people who are gonna bust some, like not let trolls like in, because it's happening a lot, and like they need to like have some like eight up in there to like stop people from like being assholes. Just saying. I'm just saying, as a viewer and a user of Discord, like I feel like it should be a place where most people feel safe, and like it's not turning into that. Like, I think that anything that cloud takes over is probably a bad idea.
It's going to become pretty toxic. So, I mean, I'll have to go in there, and I've talked to David Sanderson as well, and we're going to have to police that shit. You know, cloud at this point has become pretty, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to have to kick him out. You know, it's that simple. I don't really.
Wait, we can do it on my computer.
It's just, he's just too unpleasant, you know?
It's really frustrating. It's so frustrating. I get these like messages and it's like spam on my phone.
Now, does that remove him from this, or is he still able to be in this? There. Hopefully that will work. Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully that works and he's unable to continue to be difficult. Well, you know, it's like the thing is, at a certain point, you know, it's like just because I'm FI polar doesn't mean I need to treat the community as though everyone were FI polar. And the fact is, most people don't like to be subject to a lot of sort of adversarialness or aggression or something.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like Grass Eater causes a lot of stuff here. He's always trying to position it as somebody else's fault, but he's in the middle of all of them, so you know it's him, right? It's like
it wasn't true, but I'm laughing because it is.
Shit, you know?
Yes.
At no point are you fooling anybody with that shit. You think Lane Kiffin is an ENTJ? That's an interesting person. I don't know. I'm curious about Steve Sarkisian because he was like the drunk USC coach, right? Who was he was drunk on the sidelines and
really?
Oh yeah. Well, Chip Kelly said something like, you know, he announced that he was a bachelor specifically because he didn't have time for any relationships because he had to devote all of his time to football. So, I mean, that's kind of an ENTJ thing to say. The thing is, it's like, I keep encountering the same kind of things, right? I keep encountering people who do the same things, who make the same accusations, who refuse to understand in the same ways. Like this document I just showed you guys, right? It's like it anticipates everything that all the problems I'm having with OOO and points out that one of us is capable of recognizing the legitimacy of multiple frames and one of it is refusing to do so. In other words, not validating on both frames.
Yeah, see,
What does being pleasant mean? Being agreeable? Okay. I mean, so do you not want to talk and want to be contradictory? So this is the entropic breaking point. Well, I mean, I don't know. Right now, you're just irritating me mildly, I guess.
I wanted to say, I also speak for. I'm on Diamonde's side when she says, "Grass eater." He hasn't pulled the shit you pulled at me. As far as I'm concerned, Grassy, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Someone needed to say something.
Oh, anytime you make any kind of a false accusation again, you know, I'm timing you out a bunch. Pretty soon I'm gonna block you. So, you know, you're gonna have to approach this whole thing with a different attitude, you know, or you're gone. Because it's the fact is, I've established now on multiple occasions that you have a bad habit of making big claims that are not justified, and then saying that you can't explain any further because of FE reasons. It's appalling. I mean, I don't know what else to call it besides appalling, because
Thanks, Asia.
obviously it's just not good enough. You know, you can't expect to get any kind of outcomes with that shit. You're gonna have to do a better job. So
I know for a fact that.
I mean, the thing is, here's the problem, Red Dragon. Every time I try to get him to articulate exactly what he means, he says he doesn't have the words for it yet. If he would articulate what he means and establish that I actually contradict myself, that would be another question. Instead, he just dissembles and claims to be misunderstood and stuff.
You know,
so that's why I'm not giving him any of the whatever pleasure he might get from that. You know, there's no reason to.
I know for a fact that Diamond's not the only one who feels this way about you, Grass Eater. You think that I'm biased, but I don't know the things you've been saying. I haven't been in the chat all the time, but I know from I know for a fact that you make me feel uncomfortable sometimes. I'm not even going to talk for other people. You make me feel uncomfortable sometimes.
Also, you should note, she's not complaining to me about you or anything like that. At no point has she complained about you.
No.
To me,
no.
Interestingly, we don't talk about what I do with moderators and stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just make the decision and
then
everybody just finds out.
Exactly.
And the thing is, I like that this is sort of happening right now because it's important, I think, for me to rein in some of the excesses around here. I know those who are hardest to love need it the most. I get that, but it's also those who are less difficult to love need a comfortable environment, right? So it's at the end of the day, I need to make it possible for us all to have civil conversations around here. And that's not possible if somebody's always trying to provoke with the most provocative statements they can come up with. Now, it may be just incidental that statements are provocative, but I think, frankly, that's delusional to me to think that. And
yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I agree with Oliver Linehan. Diamond, RF, Kyra, Octavio, maybe if 4 women are complaining about you being toxic independently, you should think about examining your behavior. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I am on that team.
Okay, now here's what I will say. In Grass Eater's defense or whatever, is that I think probably the word toxic is a little strong for Grass Eater.
It is strong.
But certainly difficult.
I don't know what goes on.
Very thorny, very quick to jump on other people's faults to make the point that they're doing the same thing that you're doing, blah, 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 but you're still in the middle of everything, right? So it doesn't really matter whether you're in the middle of it because you're trying to prove your point about not being in the middle of it. You're still in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
And you are prone to throwing people under the bus, and you are prone to, really trying to make you agree with, and people really don't like that, Why am I getting so many props tonight?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Isn't that great?
It's very nice, actually. I don't recall people normally giving me all this positive stuff. Am I doing unusually well tonight? It feels like I'm just doing the same shit I always do.
I don't know. Maybe because your spirits are high because of the game.
It is toxic, says Jen Exil. I trolled him with some fap jokes today out of character in the company of everyone. Trolled who? Captain Poopy Poo? I never made any false accusations. I didn't claim you're lying. I mean, this shit, right? What I said, shit for brains, was that you're making claims you're not substantiating. And then when I ask you to explain them, you say you can't explain them for FE reasons. That's what I said. You misrepresenting what I said is a problem. Stop misrepresenting what I say. There. Learn from your mistakes.
That's my man. That's my man. Hi, and Enova 5. I'm an INFJ and I'm high too. Yeah, blowtorch, Alice Light.
Would an ESTJ
blowtorch.
Would an ESTJ make a better sports coach? Well, the best debate coach I know, or most effective anyway, is Scott Wheeler, and he's an ESTJ. Surprisingly enough, with the NI polar. Boy, I got to tell you a fun story about working with my client today. So I was having one of my usual arguments with my client's mom, right? My client. Well, it's been open for 35 minutes.
That was great. You should definitely talk.
And so she keeps trying to get me to do something that's not really possible to do, right? And so she's saying, well, can you help him make this better? And I said, well, not really, because, there's nothing wrong with the sentence writing here. We've gotten through the sentences and made them good. The thing that's problem with it is that it's boring, but it's boring because of the nature of the assignment. It's going to necessarily be boring. And besides which, maybe you need another English teacher for this or something, because I don't want to teach what she wants you to do, because I think it's bad. So, like the teacher gave them an example of a student submitted essay that was supposedly good, and it was so wordy and verbose, and there was no NI to it. I think it must be like an ESTJ teacher too, probably. So anyway, I said to the student's mom, I said, look, here's why I keep having the same conversation with you. And I keep saying, look, you can have meow or meow. Okay. Those are your possibilities. This thing here is not possible. B. But can you do B though? I just told you, no, B is not possible. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. But can you just do B though? It was strange. So
like 7 times.
I said, here's why this happens. Let's go demonstrate this right now. I'm going to take this rat test, open it in the room, share it in the room here, so we're going to look at it. Now, let's do these together, and you'll see how you don't do any of them, and your son has no problem at all. In fact, Jeffrey was, dove right into it. His mom, first one, very easy, gets it, has no idea. Second one, gets it wrong, and is flustered by it.
And third one, she makes a joke about.
Third one, she makes a joke about. And so it's pretty damn cool if you think about it. That's the power of cognitive functions. I knew this woman was ESTJ before I did this. And I said, here's what's going to happen. You guys are going to take, both of you are going to take this test that neither of you have seen before. And one of you is going to kick ass on it. And the other one is going to not be able to do it at all. And this one is going to kick ass and this one's going to not be able to do it at all.
And she was like,
and to be completely right.
Strauss. She was like she really didn't want to do it.
She really didn't want to do it, right? After she realized she couldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty convinced at this point that's a perfect example of making a hypothesis and testing it and falsifying it, right? Have you ever detached and looked at the horrible actions? Why would FI polar be easier to kill people? Makes zero sense to me. Do you know functions, bro? Who said that they'd be easier to kill people?
Can I say something that I've noticed in ENTPs?
Sure.
No, studying you and stuff. I noticed that ENTPs sometimes have to tell themselves to be nice. Like, I attribute that to FI polar because, like, you don't know if you are being nice or not.
Well, I do have to remind myself to be nice. I'm an INFJ. I'm almost 20. I've been dating my amazing girlfriend who I type to be ISFJ. What do you think social dichotomy between the two types are? Okay, so ISFJ, INFJ. What do you think? Business-like? I mean...
No, I think it could be very friendly. Like, that's the thing. I think really, like, great friendship, but, like, at a deep core of things, misunderstandings. Like, just even with the little that, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's really fun as friends. But, like, when you want to get deeper, down to deeper stuff, it's going to be like, no.
Well, I mean, look. Obviously, we're not telling you your relationship is doomed to fail.
No, not at all. At all.
Because there are other important factors besides just type. For example, Enneagram is, I think, an important factor. And
I agree.
Some people in other YouTube MBTI comments compare Eric to C.S. Joseph a lot, saying they are both show narcissistic behavior because of TI. I mean, I don't know why anybody would say I show narcissistic behavior. There's nothing narcissistic about me at all. I've never had anybody ever correctly or accuse me of being narcissistic at all. I mean,
It's interesting. I think INFJ and ISFJ can be like a shoulder to lean on a lot of times. My friend Kathy, whom I was like really good friends with in high school, she's had like the best attitude. You know, I really I loved her like kind of carefree spirit. Like it was like she really did live in the day. There was no it was very like surface, like, hey, want to come over, like play like video games, like we're gonna drink beer and like have like you guys can smoke weed outside, like, you know, it would always be at her house and she would cook a lot of times. She'd be like, hey, you know, I don't know, it was good friendship. But
just to make clear, since I timed you out there for this, you're ignoring what I said before. My time's a lot more important than yours. So I don't want to spend my time hashing shit out with you. I clearly don't like you very much. So why would I want to do that? I've checked, and you do have some good ideas. You have correctly derived some things from what I've said, and I've also determined that it's way too much work to dig to find them because it's random. Some of your ideas are good, and some of them are absolute garbage. So, I mean, it's not worth my time. Do you understand that? Now, if you would like to be around and actually engage with people about topics, go ahead. If you're pleasant. If you continue being thoroughly unpleasant, you're getting your ass blocked.
My grandma La Pelosa didn't drink, she smoked. She smoked cigarettes, but she didn't drink really. My dad always said my dad always said it was like the weirdest thing. And his dad would be like the one thing that she would have, like maybe like Christmas, and then other than that, she didn't smoke. I mean, she didn't drink. She smoked, but that's not what killed her.
Killed her was the bullet to the head.
That's so like low. I feel like it's so low FI. Like I'm like, that's what killed her. That's not what killed her. No, she passed away from pneumonia.
So,
she also had dementia.
And she was crushed by a meteorite.
Sorry, did I take it to a deep level?
No, that's fine. So I want you all to be aware, in case you weren't here in the earlier live stream or haven't heard about it, I have attained my most hated video ever. And it was absolutely a shock. I would never have guessed that this would turn out to be my most hated video ever. But you see, I committed the unforgivable sin of making fun of someone's hat. Now, normally that would be okay. But not if that hat is Albanian, okay?
Apparently not.
Not if that hat's Albanian.
Move.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to make fun of an Albanian hat.
No, you're not.
And I did. And now I have the most hated video probably I've ever had. It's got how many thumbs down now? Let's find out.
I don't know. Last time it was, 48?
Let's see.
671 views. It's got to be even more.
It's higher than that because this number here ranks trails behind the actual number in these guys.
61 dislikes.
61 dislikes. Wow. Why did this guy choose to wear this hat after this boxing match? This is what you might call the Great Hat Controversy. Okay, so the actual number of views, if you look at the most current view thing, it's 803 views.
Wow.
And 92% of them are from YouTube search. That number just changed, though. So anyway, pretty good stuff there. Turns out I started an international incident of some sort. CSJ claims CSJ is a TI dom. I thought he claims he's an ENTP. Everybody go juice this like boost those numbers. That's pretty impressive. 61 thumbs down for a 1.5 minute long video where I make some fun of a hat. I was saying to Rachel, sometimes you get demoralized around YouTube because numbers are static, or I'm not feeling it in terms of making complicated videos or stuff like that, and or whatever else. But the great thing about YouTube is it continues to offer you little surprises, and that's one of those little surprises where it's like I made this random little video about something funny I saw for 1.5 minutes, and it gets 800 views in the first 5 hours. So that's pretty good for 5 hours.
Watch out, Nova 5.
Watch out, boy. She'll chew you up.
Oh, here she comes.
Okay.
What?
Dude. Somebody's getting schooled by
Someone
Anna
got
Nova.
Duded.
My other hated video is when I made fun of the arguments of mistyped ENTP. Oh yeah. Well, that's true, but I don't think I've ever gotten this many thumbs down for like 61 thumbs down is quite a good sized number of thumbs downs. Thumbs downs is the plural of thumbs down.
Which means that it's driving to the left.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever reason.
Yay! Finally, we got one question that you couldn't answer.
What? That doesn't count, man. It's together like being my country, bro.
Sure it counts, of course it does. And they were expecting that you would look for the details on the bus, right?
There's no details there, man. You can't
exactly.
There are no details there.
No, it's not detail enough to do.
No, there is no door.
There is no door.
Driving on the other side.
0 doors.
I don't think they can hear.
I know they can't. That's why I'm enjoying this. Just listen to them, and then we'll.
I actually got that one very fast.
Did
For
you?
some reason, but you can do it.
Can I?
I got this one, the one that we just showed.
Yeah.
Find the Batman.
No, right here between my
Find
legs.
the Batman.
Find the
It's
Batman.
right there, man.
It's right.
My mouse.
It's
The bottom right. You go to the corner, go up in one.
Yeah, that's. I found that one to be very fast too. I don't know what it's there.
I mean, that's not even a. No, what do you do?
9th row. What did I say?
So that's what's going on in the Discord
In the
server.
7th row.
These people are talking about
4, 5, 6, 7.
quitting the Discord.
Anova 5 asks, so fellow INFJ, how do you think we process information in our unconscious? Well, I think it just is that. It is always in our unconscious. Like, it only hits me if it makes a correlation to some form of media that I have either heard or watched. So my feelings are mostly unconscious. Like if I'm in a really, really bad situation that I just like keep on trying to ignore, my dreams will manifest as nightmares. So that's unconscious for me. That's how I process the unconscious through dreams. It's very underneath.
I mean, you can come over to this room here right now if you want to talk.
No, we're not.
Nobody wants to talk. Copy link, 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 copy link. I'm copying the link. I'm linking to copy. I'm copying the link. I'm linking in ploppy. I'm bobbing in the pink. I'm pinking to doppy. Poppy. Who's BB? Nobody knows.
Big butt.
Yeah. Big booty. Cutie wooty. Shake it like you made it out of nutritious meals.
Eric's block hand strong
Diamond,
tonight.
listen, here's the thing. Here's why I'm not taking more action against him is because you keep engaging in the same fashion. You know? So it's like I can't really I'm aware of the reality of things, which is yeah. But you know, it's like he's he's troublesome, but what am I going to do? You're troublesome sometimes too. You're making trouble with them. It's like a lot of people are slap fighting with grass eater. I recognize the fact that a lot of people are slap fighting with grass eater, and that doesn't look good for grass eater. And that's true. But at the moment, you're both slap fighting each other. At the moment, you're both slap fighting each other. So I can't really blame him at the moment for any more than I would be able to blame you for.
Yeah.
So
White flagged.
the weird thing about COVID is that literally a patient's vitals could change completely within a period of a few hours. Are you sure that's not jive turkey you're talking about? Is this person trying to talk and unable to? Yo, E mine, men, me.
Eeny, weeny.
E mine, men, I me. E mine, men, I me.
Eeny, weeny, weeny.
I already put the link here for that person. And Ghost, how have you enjoyed the time you spent with all the COVID one? Mama, 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 mama. Okay, so whoever said they wanted to come talk to me was lying or biting off more than they could chew with their whatever or whatever. You won't end up on camera on this live stream no matter what, because what's going on here is we're saving your life right now, and from this moment through the end of your life, we're going to continue saving it. You're always on the brink of death, Swati Chowhan, because people are always unsure. Are you a real person? Are you a troll in disguise? Are you really here to metamorphosize your life into the spiritual butterfly you have within?
Winston's mom, no, I haven't yet. But I plan on doing something with it, that's for sure. I like that it has like pliers in it and stuff. That's fun for me.
Are there any ways to test for SE or SE polar? Well, there presumably are a variety of ways to test for them, potentially, but I still feel quite confused about exactly how SE manifests. Because the way I understand it being doing stuff and like executing on decisions and stuff. Well, I've heard so many ISFPs say they have a problem with procrastination. I don't know if they're inaccurately assessing themselves, or if in fact they do have that problem.
Procrastination.
So, well, I get that it's a perceiving function, David Sanderson, but my conclusion about it at the moment is that SE types, by and large, prioritize the ability to take action in any given moment, which means not engaging, I guess you'd say, long-term follow-through necessarily. They prioritize the ability to take action in any given moment over any other action-related values, because that's what it means to be an action type. To want circumstances to allow you to take action, which means you can't really have super long plans, because that will constrain your ability to act upon newly arriving circumstances.
Yes, and they feel the procrastination in completing goals that they don't really care about.
Right.
Like that they don't value. It gets pushed upon.
Yeah, but it's funny because you see demonstrative SE and somebody like my dad is always getting shit done within the TE frame to the extent that you see it at all. And the other thing is, like my daughter, she's definitely an ESTP, but I wouldn't call her physically graceful or hyper aware of her surroundings. Although I guess I don't really ever see her actually, tripping into things nowadays or anything. Maybe it was, but she wasn't a particularly great athlete as in middle school.
She says it herself. Yeah, she says it herself. She really wants to be a bartender.
Yeah, I know, Winston's mom. You two knock it off.
Yeah, because like Diamond, he's not gonna not block you because
you just continue going back and forth forever. You want to get the last word. You want to get the last word on the thing. Just let it go. I want to bestow upon you some FI polar wisdom. It doesn't really matter. Like, look, I'm obviously annoyed by specifically because he's trying to work this TI angle. It's saying, I'm not being open to critique. I'm not being open to multiple frames of reference. But the reality is, every time he makes a claim, it's designed to be provocatively bold and unjustified. Every time you ask him to justify it, he doesn't justify it adequately. A lot of times he don't even attempt to justify it, saying that he doesn't have the words for it. Well, okay. At that point, he's just wasting my time, So that's what I would say about that. Okay, so Shigo Fumi, I don't think that's true. I don't think Polar SC is the guy who always gets lost in video games and complains about efficient maps. That would suggest that INTPs have this problem. I think INTPs are probably pretty good at those kind of video games. That SI allows them to do that. It's not really an SE thing. I would suspect that mapping is kind of an NISI thing. Like, I know where I'm going in LA. I don't usually have to. I mean, it's not something that I can figure out, right? I either know where I'm going or I don't. It's a knowledge thing. So as a consequence, you got to figure that mapping links to one of the knowledge functions, like physical maps. I mean, I've got a pretty good internal physical map of the Los Angeles freeway system because it's I've been driving it since I was 16 years old, So let's just say you just arrived and you want to know why you're here. It's so that I can help you experience the true feelings of love and Christmas in your heart. Mm-hmm. I provide both, okay?
Mm-hmm. It does.
I want you to know that I feel a lot of FI love for the community as a whole. Mm-hmm. And I'm bestowing Christmas spirit frequently.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you got the app. Okay, so you must be on your phone, Annie Nova. See, here's the thing, Annie Nova. Let me tell you a little thing or two about things. Yes, you can join.
ICJ 12.
Rooms. Autonomy. Join. Okay, so let me go back over here and let me do this right here because this is gonna help us there. Push the thing, yeah.
Can I look to see if there's cheese in that basket?
Sure, look away.
Thanks.
Tyler Murphy, hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Buddha, yes. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Mrs. Mom.
Man, I'm tired. I'm hanging there.
Okay, I'm turning up the volume here so that I can hear you and other people can hear you as well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right.
So how are you guys? How was your day? How was your night?
Well, it was pretty good because we watched the USC UCLA game. USC won. We're rooting for USC, so that was nice. It was a pretty exciting game. What's going on with you?
Good. Well, that's a huge question. So, like I said, I'm kind of. It's actually the first time I'm actually talking about it online with someone that specializes and actually get paid to type. So, like, this is at first for me, but I think like I've been watching your videos for at least about a year now, and like I'll come in your live streams, I just don't comment. But I just kind of observe and learn from your perception of the world, and it's really, really intriguing. And I actually watched the shows and some other INFJ based content. I mean, like I watched some like videos that are like that I've identified people in my life as a certain type, and then I'll like research that type to a point where I will get a generalization of how they are as an individual, as like not in, like in that individual, but more or less like how they are in a general sense of like how the world is, like Carl Jung archetypes, fucking amazing man. I've read some of his work, and it's fascinating. And I've been reading like history of psychology. And I'm getting to the patterns, MBTI, all different types of psychology. It's really interesting shit. So, I don't know.
You're pretty difficult to hear you. So if you can speak more directly into the mic as you talk would be helpful because you're kind of cutting in and out. Maybe turn off the camera because maybe turn off the camera because you're not being seen anyway. You're just being heard through my speakers.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better. So
Better? I'm using headphones, so it's a little bit weird right now. I'm using like Bluetooth headphones.
I see. Okay.
Did you at least get some of that? Because like it was a whole string.
Yeah, I got a fair amount of it. You said you're an INFJ. You've been watching my videos for about a year, coming around, but you don't actually come in and talk. And you have perceptions of people in the outside world that are right to a holistic understanding rather than a particular understanding, and that I don't remember what else you said.
Develop dominant introverted intuition, and then using the extroverted feeling. If you want to put it through C.S. Joseph terms, NI hero, FU parent, obviously got the TI child and extroverted fencing as my inferior function. So I'm informed. I just would like to learn how to practically apply it to, I guess, real life scenarios or with other people, because it's a fascinating model. Like seeing the world through is like a lens, because you gotta use it to inform, not ruled by a person's behavior, but to inform someone's behavior. I think that was the intent for it in vertical psych.
So one tip is when you're talking to somebody, if you make an attempt to, when you're talking to somebody, if you make an attempt to interrupt that person, if they are FE tool, for example, they're very likely to defer because they're accustomed to making sure they're not taking up too much talking space and or preventing the other person from doing what they want, because they're naturally receiving by nature, which is to say they're interested most in being attentive to objects of introverted intuition, extroverted intuition, rather than putting such objects. So There are some little tricks you can use to distinguish like FE from FI, but the best way to type somebody is to try to understand all the polar tests and try to actually do those tests honestly and make sure you take the rat test, take the Anki Panky tests, find out how you perform against others of your same type, and make those kind of determinations.
Did you say Inky Pinky test?
Yeah, well, Anki Panky is a test that asks you
I haven't
to.
heard of that one.
Well, it's a test that says, for example, the examples I always give are hilltop water spout is the clue. It's an Inky Pinky, which means the answer goes meow, 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 meow. And the answer is mountain fountain. Another example would be the clue might be roadway flesh. It's an ink pink. The answer is street meat. So let's give you guys one to try.
Yeah, I was watching your. Okay, now you're.
It's a ubiquitous. It's a ubiquitous noodle, and the answer is an Inky Pinky. So what's the answer? Anybody?
Inky Pinky to like
A ubiquitous noodle is the clue. The Inky Pinky means it's a two syllables, two syllables. So the answer sounds like Inky Pinky, but it's not Inky Pinky. It's something else that rhymes.
Oh, so you have to like sound it out in your head. You're testing to see if that person can decipher.
No, yeah. Can you teach
I
me?
just looked up the definition for ubiquitous and figured it out.
Okay. It's not a
Common ramen.
Yeah, it's not a difficult
Right.
one. If you know the word ubiquitous, it's not difficult. It's intended to be a pretty easy one.
Yeah, just use your context.
Try another one here. Try this one. This is another straightforward one. Okay. Sunrise yard. It's an ink pink. Yeah, sunrise yard is an ink pink. Yeah. What? Which means it's a one syllable.
Question.
So the clue is sunrise yard, and the answer is going to be an ink pink, which means it's a 1-1. Just like the previous three we did, it's the same kind of thing. Another example, same kind of thing.
So I just do like a 12-hour shift today. So like
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to see if my extroverted sensing.
I mean, the thing is, Inky Pinkies are typically only done well by a couple of types. So
for a little while, kind of get in.
what is the rat test? Somebody asked. The rat test is specifically the random associations test. If you just put into Google rat test, you will get the following test. And you go to the second one is the one I go to, and I'll put the link right here. Copy, and I'll put it here.
What was the answer to that ink pink?
Don Juan.
Oh, I got it right.
Good.
Okay, so this is unrelated. I'm trying to decide now, but like, I have generalized anxiety disorder, like I've been with therapy.
Uh-huh. What does that have to do with type? I got it wrong. I thought a picnic, definitely not an NE user. The rat test is the thing I'm very bad at, says Zaylen Block. Well, if you're incredibly bad at it, then you might be an ESTJ or an ESFJ. It's interesting because I tested, Jeffrey's mom knowing she was an ESTJ, and sure enough, just as I predicted, she did badly on it. That's very robust, right? Big Five can't do anything like that. Right. So what's the answer to this one? Cottage Swiss cake. Cheese. Okay. Cream, skate, water. So this, cottage cheese, Swiss cheese, and cheesecake.
Pink, green water.
5.
Oh, here we go. What is this? Alright, what is that? cheese. So you're supposed to like
Define the word that goes with all three.
put in the oh, okay. Cream skate, water. Oh my god. Yeah, I might be a lot worse at this than I thought.
Okay, so yeah, this is basically a introvert intuition test.
No, yeah. Okay. I'm sure if I did on my own, like if I like do it.
You can. It's fortunately it's one of those things that tests out very straightforward. You know, it's not something that you need any kind of special time or place or anything to do well. You either do it or you don't. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably not gonna happen. So I guess that would maybe rule out some like I don't know, perceptions that I have about myself.
Yeah, but that's what you just said is pretty TI thought. So I don't know what to think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I've already reevaluated this shit like 1,000 times. So I mean, like, I was like, am I an ENFP? No, my mom's an INFP. My dad's an ISFP, so maybe I'm an INFJ. Because like, and then my stepmom's an ENTP.
well, you could always hire me to type you. You know, I am available to be hired to type people.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to talk because I like to talk to people. And
Sure.
You guys seem really, really cool, and like, I like the way you guys like spend your time like helping people and helping them figure out themselves.
Is that how we spend our time? We don't spend our time helping people. Okay, just to be clear, Rachel and I do not spend our time helping people. We spend our time watching Japanese cartoons and smoking bong rips and chatting with random people like we are now, just for kicks mostly. I'm a salesman. I'm not a salesman. The thing is, I can be an amazing salesman when I really believe in the product I'm selling, but I'm not selling anything here. You know, I mean, I'm selling typings, but I'm not heavily motivated to.
Teacher, you're kind of a mentor. You're doing what you're passionate about.
The thing is, when I used to work at Kudos College of Youth Leadership, and the principal lady, the main lady who owned the business, was having trouble selling somebody on the program, she'd send them in to talk to me, and they'd always walk out of my office sold on it, because I believe so strongly in the power of debate as opposed to something else for most kids in order to, as a means to improve their thinking. But the thing is, I wouldn't have, you know, it's like she'd send them to my office. That's how I know to start selling them. Or I wouldn't even try selling them. I just say, I explained to them what I believed. That's it, you know? And that works fine, consistently. But here with the typing service, I feel weird, like, hey, don't forget to hire me to type you for it. And like, it's like, there's never been that. It's always been an autobiographical / play thing for me, and not really purposed in any sense. And if I start trying to make things purposed, then they become unfun.
I totally understand. You know, and like I've actually thought about re-uploading to my YouTube channel and start like a new genre or niche in MBTI. Because like I did like a side project, it kind of failed miserably. Like it's not like I just had to redo it, but like yeah, I've constantly thought about doing something that's related to the things you guys are doing. And maybe being like a life coach or something. But I've had a lot of shit happen to me in my lifetime. I had it easy, but I didn't have that deep emotional connection with my father, or obviously my stepmother, because she's not my biological mother. But like, she was very much a helicopter, authoritarian, uptight, keep up in my lives. Like, dude, she didn't smoke a J. I'm like, dude, you need to fucking hit a blunt. Like, she was one of those very shaped like three masses where these teachers. I think she might be
Noodle Poodle's funny.
I mean, the thing is, it's
like Yeah. So, yeah, it was like, I don't know, I feel like there's more like just shit that like life throws at you. You I feel like it harms you. The more shit happens to you, like you become more like versatile with your emotions.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that trauma helps you at all. I think you need a little bit of it to build character. You need a little bit of difficulty in
It
life.
shapes you.
Okay,
It
well,
shapes you.
yeah, it does shape you. I don't think it shapes you in good ways.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hey, you got a point. Because like I still think about like the first time my dad spanked me, and I was like 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to put myself in the corner.
Okay.
'Cause I thought
This
I
is
did
depressing.
wrong.
This is depressing. Okay. I don't want to hear
I know.
about child abuse. It's incredibly depressing.
No, that's not child abuse. That was just me as a kid growing up. That's just how it was. I don't know why, and I figured it out through psychology. This test. Oh, shit. It's fucking. It's like described me too deep. And then like I got more into it, and I found you guys. So thanks for being here. Because you've helped me through quite a bit of.
This is I mean, look, people have various difficulties with their past, right? And how much injustice they experience in growing up can often be, as you said, shaping somebody, right? So it's typically something that needs to be processed in some meaningful way so it's not predominant in your thoughts, right? It's obviously predominant in your thoughts because you go to it pretty quickly. So it's something that's a matter of trouble, right? Of some sort, I would suppose. Stable cable. I should have gotten that one.
I want to use one of these as a screen name on Instagram.
What, Inky Pinky?
Mm-hmm. You know, when a good one comes up.
Yeah, when a good one comes up.
Excuse me.
Stable cable. I like
I
that.
remember that. Yeah, I'm still like kind of higher. It's like
Okay,
talkative mood.
It's hard to hear what you're saying.
very, very difficult to hear.
Okay, is it better like this or is it better like this?
Sounds the same.
I don't know.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me do this.
Okay. Ugh. Enough of that.
What am I gonna do?
I mean, the thing is, it's like, this is one of those things where I guess I'm being F.I. Polar. He's there saying very nice things and saying, you've been important to me in terms of whatever. And it's all very nice. But at the end of the day, it was just making the live stream insufferable. I could hardly hear him most of the time. I'm sure you could hear him much less well than I could hear him. And I wasn't, I just ultimately the sensory annoyance of the whole thing being hard to hear and having to turn up the TV super loud, and then David Sanderson being way louder. He fixed his mic. Okay, well, I still don't want to talk about depressing ass shit, Bite strike doesn't rhyme. Oh, is that the clue? Well, look, I understand that people legitimately experience trauma. They need to talk out sometimes, but I am not comfortable being the recipient of that. So I don't know if he was trolling or not. Grass Eater, you always jump to those sort of conclusions. I would suggest that no. I don't think he was a troll. I think he was legitimate enough. I've never seen the guy before. He just sounded like an SFP, you know? He sounded like probably ESFP. I attract them somehow, sometimes. I'm not sure. But I don't know. How do I know? I haven't typed him. Oliver Linehan says Eric Strauss is no counselor, no offense. I don't want the guy to be more depressed or anything. I feel for him if he's suffering. I don't want him to suffer, but I'm not a sad dumpster, right? I'm not a sad dumpster. So if you're gonna dump sadness, dump it someplace else. Well, and that's the thing. He's not a client. If he was a client, it would be a different matter, right? Then I'm gonna spend the hour doing what I got to do, you know. But well, I mean, I saw the way I read the beginning of the conversation was an effort to convey a certain type to me, and that feels very ESFP to me. But I mean, who knows? I don't know. I can't type them in 5 seconds, and I wasn't really typing them. And but I don't feel bad for having a boundary. Other people may criticize it or whatever, but that's fine. You somehow ended up being a sad dumpster for people when I was in high school. I never understood why. It stressed me out. I didn't want that burden for multiple people. Right. Well, he was having audio issues or whatever. I don't know. It was annoying, the audio issues. Then Black says, I talk about trauma in a detached way. It's no longer trauma, but I see how it could have shaped me. So it's an important part of type of story. Yeah, well, that's, YouTube always has surprises in store for me. It's like this is good turnout for a live stream here. 31 people. That is not true, Seamus the drunk. That is not true. And that sort of thing comes up. I always take the appropriate amount of. I always say the right thing regarding that stuff. And if he's depressed, I'm sad about that. I don't want him to be depressed. Well, if that was the case, that he was attracted by the stream title, then he wasn't really being honest about his experience level with the channel, saying he's been watching me for a year and hanging around and stuff like that. It sounded like he was probably not that familiar with the channel. So, it's like there's some questionable honesty maybe. And I mean, I don't know, but, my first duty is really to make a good live stream, a live stream where the various people are engaged with what I'm saying if they want to be, or engaged with other people in the chat if they want to be, and to preserve the possibility for people to do that. So that means, that means managing the enjoyability of what the media is, right? There's nothing enjoyable about listening to indecipherable mumblings in the background and me trying to piece it together, but you guys certainly can't hear it well because of the kind of streaming I'm doing. I can't have that audio as a separate channel. I used to struggle with severe shyness in school, but it started slowly going away when I realized I was an ISFP and I learned people aren't that bad when I learned about MBTI.
use Don Juan.
Use what?
Don Juan. I thought that was a good one.
Oh, that's fine. Sure. Oh, if you want, if this was one of yours, sure. I've made that sheet of them before. Some of them were more challenging than others. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'll smoke with you, sure. That's the thing, Dave Sanderson. When I live stream with the software, I can, but when I live stream like this, I can't. You wouldn't be able to hear them at all. You'd just be able to hear me. Now, you might say, well, that's what I mean, but yeah, it's a harsh topic, Oliver Linehan. I know that I have one of those in my past, friends who commit suicide, and it's always been a haunting thing for me, and bothersome and frustrating to think back on. You know, like what you can't help but think, God, I should have done something. You know.
I'll smoke with you too. Who asked?
Ghost Rider.
Oh, cool, Ghost Rider. How you doing? I was wondering, like, how you've been recently.
I mean, I don't really have any moral theories per se, being Schmigan. I'd say my moral theories are basically that negative moral prohibitions are universalizable, positive moral indications are not, and I incorporate a magical thinking frame to deal with the positive moral indications. Yeah, I know. I know I can do all that stuff in OBS, but I don't like to use OBS all the time. It's also the case that YouTube treats the different kinds of live streams differently. So if it treats the software live stream differently than it treats the webcam live stream, and I like to do both. So, and sometimes I'm just not in the mood to incorporate those things. It's kind of nice to not be able to know you can't, to have that constraint built in ahead of time. So it limits my capacity and willingness to engage in certain ways. So like I might be tempted to play chess with David Sanderson if I had the software going, but I actually don't think that makes for a good entertaining live stream. Even if I'm talking throughout the whole chess game, I'm not engaging with people in the chat. Did you say positive or negative moral framework is not universalizable? Positive is not universalizable. Negative is universalizable.
Do you think that's why it's easier for people to talk about like negative things in social situations?
No, I think that's a different issue. Why do you universalize negative morality? Well, negative morality means something, a right of some sort that confers a duty onto everybody. So if we can think of an example of something that's uniformly immoral, such as maiming toddlers, it's pretty hard to defend maiming toddlers, a group of toddlers, in any context. So in that sense, we can say, okay, well, why is that? How is that universalizable? Well, I mean, you do have to concede a couple axiomatic points, but once you concede those axiomatic points, like for example, it's sort of a critical starting point to decide whether or not human beings can be owned. If you don't think that human beings can be owned by other people, in other words, if you oppose slavery, then you agree with the concept of self-ownership. And once we agree with that concept, then rights emerge from the universalizability of those things. And the consequence of violating rights is sacrificing one's own rights or forfeiting one's own rights. But the thing is, the negative moral prohibitions, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not murder, stuff like that, those are universalizable. What's not universalizable is what you should do. So you should give money to the poor, not universalizable, because it really depends on a lot of different things as to what you ought to do. Everybody's kind of got to determine their own moral destiny for themselves, and that's where the magical thinking frame comes in. So for me, I willfully and knowledgeably, without any sort of regret or remorse, incorporate a magical thinking frame to address those things, namely what the positive moral indications are, because I prefer let's see why exactly. I needed the magical thinking frame to quit drinking. When I quit drinking, I guess it's coming up on 7 years. Is it coming up on 7 years? I think it is. Well, vegan schmegan, I guess what you would say is there's a meaning to the term of a normative framework. A normative framework is that which will tell you whether or not a given prospective act is morally obligatory, morally permissible, or morally impermissible.
Hi, ENTP.
So if you want to have a circumstance in which you've got an actual normative framework, it's got to be able to tell you ahead of time whether something is going to be moral or not. And it can't be probabilistic because because the thing about that is people can't successfully anticipate outcomes usually. And to say that they should always act upon their predictions is insane, because it justifies any number of atrocities, because it's saying, well, I predict this is going to have a net benefit in terms of lives saved or something, I should do it. Well, it brings up the famous train track question, right? So, George Foreman, you and I share a common hobby, you could say, namely the liking of breasts. I like two breasts in particular, and they're located on the chest of one Rachel Lapalosa,
Oh, thank you.
who's sitting right next to me here,
Oh.
who is the valedictorian of the Bresley Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Women. Mm-hmm.
I'm turning into the embarrassed one. Thank you, lover. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Yeah, he's a breast man.
It's true.
But he does like my butt too, I have
That's
to
true,
say.
yeah. I
It's
mean, you're
nice.
just So no, it's not time to go. Small shoes. It's an inky pink. Okay. Cute boot. Anton Munter is a cute boot. Anton Munter is a cute boot. Anton Munter is a cute boot. Oh, Anton Munter is a cute boot. Anton Munter is a cute boot. No, it's not. Is it? Let's see.
Has anyone seen the meme that's
Oh,
I got catfish, but she got weed dough?
I got catfish, but she got weed dough?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. You know what? I messed up there because I wasn't paying attention to your fact that it was an inky pink when I said what I said. That doesn't make any sense, right? What did I say again? I said, I don't know. You're not going to believe this, but my dream told my type, and after months of researching, it turned out to be right. Your type is amazing. Who's Tim Pool? I don't know how to go talk to Tim Pool. I don't know who Tim Pool is even. Go talk to Tim Pool on the Tim Pool Show. Okay. How do I do this? Never even heard of this person before. Do it right. Okay.
Do it right now. Oh.
Or do it right now. How do I go talk to him?
On Discord?
Tim Pool. Is this a YouTube thing or what? Tim Pool Show. YouTube? Okay, let me go to YouTube. Tim Pool.
Joe Biden's son.
Joe Biden's son. Well, how do I mean, it's not like he's live streaming right now or something. So I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. He says, Wacky Dude who thought the election was going to be a 49th state sweep. No, he's not. Eric, thoughts on Cowgirl? I don't know what that is. I would have heart to hearts with my hubby on this. Everyone is at a different part of the pathway of life, and not every path is the same for everyone. Give advice, give an ear, pick up the pieces if they are unable or unwilling to apply what you offered. You think Sanderson is high? Well, that's one thing you can think. Eric, go on Oprah and speak now. Right, exactly. It's like, okay. He has talked to a libertarian, socialist, and the leader of the Proud Boys. Okay, I mean, that neither of those things are related to me, but you would have petite feet if you had small shoes, though. Does it involve a real cow, George Foreman? Because I can't fit a cow in my house. Okay, so are the Proud Boys the ones who sodomize each other as an initiation ritual? Is there a political group that does that? I had no idea. That's quite a surprise.
That is quite a surprise.
You know, Grass Eater, I think reverse cowgirl is much more likely to injure a man's penis. To be perfectly honest. Do you talk politics on stream or is something you tend to avoid? No, I talk politics plenty. I just haven't been tonight. It depends if somebody brings up the subject. Usually, I'll talk about it. Occasionally, I'll come in ranting about something, but even then, I try to keep it as non-ranty as possible with politics, because my big problem with people is that they're too agenda-based and too impassioned about stuff. They need to just sort of detach, remove themselves from the question, and deal with it rationally. So Freddie Forgiato is going to throw out a little bit of a provocation here by saying carbon tax is the only way we will survive as a species. It's a terrible, terrible thing to say. Like, nobody should win that argument. Nobody should win the argument on that because it's, for all the reasons I've already indicated, it's a very silly proposition. It's not because climate change isn't real or climate change doesn't threaten the well-being of the species. It does. It is, and it does. But it's just that the notion that we can unilaterally cut emissions and make substantial impacts on climate change overall is silly, especially if it costs us manufacturing. That manufacturing will just be done by another country more dirtily. So it's not going to attain any good. The thing is, what we want to do instead is try to consider adaptation and after, and sequestration. Adaptation and sequestration. If you can sequester carbon that's already in the atmosphere, then you don't need to worry so much about how much you're pumping into the atmosphere because you can pull it out of the atmosphere as well. There are currently a variety of ways that we could be implementing that pull carbon out of the atmosphere that we're not. And if we're going to be directing resources to something, why don't we direct it towards that? We could have a China level COVID lockdown so COVID stops. I don't know what a China level COVID lockdown is. I mean, the thing about that is I don't think that that's going to be successful in America. Even in California, we currently have sheriff's departments saying they're not going to enforce the stay-at-home order. It's broadly been spoken by various sheriff's departments that they're not going to do that. And so it's like any notion that they're gonna support and enforce an even more severe lockdown is just a pipe dream. So that's not going to happen. So your choices aren't between China-style lockdown and something else. They're between half-assery and ideally nothing. I mean, the thing is, there doesn't need to be any centralized control over this thing. What there needs to be is individuals making choices for themselves as to how they want to deal with it. Might it result in an overflowing of the hospitals with COVID cases? Possibly. Is that the end of the world? No. Is it as bad as what we got going on now? Not close to as bad. Even if it causes more deaths ultimately, that's okay. That happens in the world. It's not worth shutting down all of society to prevent a few deaths.
That's why I was so kind of blunt about my grandma La Pelosa passing away from pneumonia because it was just that's how it happened.
Yeah, I mean the thing is,
it just happened like that.
Like I've said about California, we have 400,000 deaths a year on average. And so far this year, there's been, I think, 20,000 COVID deaths in 9 months. Call it 60 for a year just to be generous with the COVID deaths. And let's pretend all 60,000 of those deaths were legit. You still got to wonder why are their deaths worth so much more preventative attention than all the other deaths in California.
Yeah.
So if these 50, 60,000 deaths justify all of this stuff, then why don't all these other sources of death justify all this stuff?
Watch it, George Foreman.
No hate, please.
Yeah.
Let's not hate things.
We're not.
That's not nice. People are dying from private indoor gatherings and parties. We must shut down outdoor dining. Hilarious. Yeah.
Hilarious indeed.
So, it's like I I don't make these kind of arguments. I don't like these kind of arguments. I don't disagree with the critiques that one might have of the CDC, but until proven motivated like that, I'm going to presume that it's just what it appears to be, which is sort of a hysterical overreaction that then you're invested in. You've got to keep sustaining this overreaction because otherwise all the overreaction heretofore hasn't been justified. Do word association? Okay, poo. What's your association, Salem Black?
That's a really good question.
Poo. I don't understand you. At Winston's mom, why don't you heed my advice on warnings regarding this poison shot? I mean, nobody's trying to say that I believe wholeheartedly in this vaccine. We love the vaccine. Nobody's saying that.
Hi, baby.
You want people to maintain a more extreme position than is justified. You know, an appropriate response. This is, well, we'll wait and see. You know?
Wow.
We don't know enough yet. We should wait and see. Agenda politics is the only answer to fixing democracy. Wrong things that people say. I'm hitting the buzzer. Wrong things that people say. Where's everybody in the chat from? They're all from Minnesota. Everybody here is from Minnesota. It's amazing. I've got like no fans anywhere else and all viewers from Minnesota. What time is it? It's already almost 11 p.m.
Wow.
Are you about ready to go to bed?
Yeah.
I'm about ready to go to bed too.
Yeah.
Big Brother was right. What did Big Brother have to say? Hello there, I'm Big Brother. Would you like me to control your every move? I will watch you while you're going to the bathroom.
Ready for Giada Wear in New York.
All right, DS, go to Eric Strauss, okay? All right, I can end this stream. Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye.
I love you with my heart. All of you. En masse, as they say in France.